Original post, March 12, 2024. I 33 female have been married to my husband 33 male for 4 years. 1 year ago, I had my daughter. When I was a teenager, I had been sexually assaulted by a family friend multiple times. This has left me with a lot of complex feelings about my body. My abuser told my parents that the abuse was my fault because I dressed slutty around him. He was in his 40s and I was 14. For years I would only wear baggy clothes and not do my hair and makeup. I've gotten some therapy and worked hard to overcome these feelings of self-blame, but being pregnant and having a baby messed with my body image a bit. I have been working out a lot and am really liking my body currently. It feels very freeing. My sister-in-law 29 female knows all about my past abuse and my issues with blaming myself and my teenage clothes for my abuse. She is married to my brother-in-law 30 male and the four of us have always gotten along. We are going on a trip with my husband's parents, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and their 2 boys 8 and 6. My sister-in-law texted me and asked me to not bring any bikinis because she had 2 young boys. I thought this was weird, but I told her that I wouldn't if that was important to her. She came over last weekend and I had clothes out to pack for our trip. She wanted to see what I was bringing. She framed it in a fun, light-hearted way. She saw my bathing suit and asked me why I was bringing that since she asked me not to bring a bikini. I told her it was not a bikini but a covering 2-piece. She got very quiet and started looking through my pile of clothes. I also had a maxi dress that had spaghetti straps. Again, she asked me if I could bring some more modest. I told her I was uncomfortable, and it was such a big deal for her boys to see me in a dress. She finally admitted that she did not want me to wear any flattering clothes or bathing suits around her husband. She said her husband had been struggling with a porn addiction and the clothes I was bringing would make it hard for him and would be tempting. This is where I may be the asshole. I was so grossed out and angry. I told her very assertively that she was crazy if she thought I needed to cover my body to keep her creep of a husband from jerking off to me. I told her how wrong she was to say that to me when she knows my past issues. I also told her she is gross for at first using her kids when the real reason is she didn't want her husband looking at me. She started crying and left. She called my husband, her brother, later crying and asking him to make me bring more modest clothes. My husband completely took my side and told her if it was such an issue for her husband, then maybe they should not come on the trip. My mother-in-law has now gotten involved and is asking me to bring a more covering bathing suit and modest clothes. Edit, for context. My husband's family is extremely religious. Think Duggar family religious. Edit 2, sorry I never post on Reddit. I'll give more info that has been asked. My brother-in-law has never made me feel uncomfortable. In fact, I thought we had a good relationship. He was not raised in the Pentecostal church but did join when he married my sister-in-law. My husband and I both grew up in church but have since left. My mother-in-law has asked me to bring modest clothes but she has not mentioned an addiction issue. I assume she knows, but when I look at her messages objective it could be very possible that my sister-in-law told her I was bringing very skimpy clothes. Also, my husband is paying for the trip completely. I bought my dress recently. This is the dress. I thought it was beautiful and I was so excited to wear it. Especially since I had a baby 9 months ago. I might even return it because it feels like it's tainted, and I just think of my in-laws when I wear it. Update: wow, thank you so much for your support. Especially those of you who shared experience with this in the past. My husband has been away for work but landed early this afternoon. On his layover, he canceled the reservations for the trip. He is currently on his way to his sister's house to confront my brother-in-law. His plan is to show up to their house unannounced and take brother-in-law out for a drink. And talk to him away from my sister-in-law. I will post an update tomorrow. Thank you all so much for your kind words. Relevant comments. Comment 1, not the asshole. Wear whatever you want, whenever you want. You have been through enough in your life with people judging your appearance and trying to gaslight you into thinking your appearance somehow causes trouble. I am so sorry for what happened to you when you were younger. I'm proud of you for putting in the work to overcome something so awful. OP, thank you so much. I've done really hard work to be able to function and be a good mom. Unfortunately, I think I may be going back to therapy after all this. Commenter 2, not the asshole and definitely not the asshole since I read in a comment of yours that your husband is actually the one that is paying for this whole trip. Are you kidding me? You guys are paying, and they have the audacity to ask the ones funding a trip for them to cover up. I would find the skimpiest bikinis and outfits I could find and then tell them they are more than welcome to take their judgmental, mooching asshole selves back to their own houses if they didn't like what you were wearing to the place that you guys paid for. OP, the whole reason my husband paid for the trip so that their 2 boys can have some fun. They never get to go on trips because their parents do not have the financial means. I think that's the main reason I feel guilty about telling them they can come. It's my brother-in-law that should feel guilty. Commenter 3, I'm so sorry you're handling this sort of past trauma and current guilt. But here is where you draw the line in protecting your peace. If you and your husband wanted to offer something special for the boys, you can save this money and sponsor something for them in the future. But now is not the time to make yourself vulnerable to a misogynistic sister-in-law and a creep of a brother-in-law. Protect your peace. OP, that's really good advice. I hadn't really thought that we could use the money to have the boys do something without us. That's fun. My daughter is only 9 months old, and I definitely don't want a creep around her or a woman who enables him. Update, March 13, 2024. Hi everyone. I want to say thank you all for your support and advice. Especially thank you to the people who damned me with their personal stories of abuse and church trauma. I'm so grateful for you sharing your stories. To answer some questions. I am very average looking by conventional standards. But I have a nice body. I'm 5'6" and 120 pounds. Since I had my daughter, I've been going to Pilates 3 times a week. For the first time in my life have some abdominal muscle, which I'm very proud of. I don't mean this as a subtle brag. I also put a good amount of effort into the way I look, such as doing my hair and makeup and wearing well-fitting clothes. My sister-in-law is a very attractive woman. She is much taller than me. She has gained about 40 pounds since she had her kids. And I know that she feels a bit self-conscious about it, but she said she's not willing to change. She said that she's a mom so it doesn't matter what she looks like. I wonder if she's having a bit of depression. So, for the update. To make things clearer, I will refer to my husband as Tom and myself as Kate. I will also refer to my sister-in-law Jill, and my brother-in-law as Jack. My husband showed up at my in-laws' house unannounced last night. He said my brother-in-law was happy to see him and he asked to go for a walk with him so he could talk. One thing that was interesting is that my brother-in-law wasn't under the impression that the trip was still on for this Saturday. My husband said this is the most awkward conversation he ever had. He started by asking Jack, my brother-in-law if him and his wife are having any trouble because his wife had mentioned that he had a porn addiction. My brother-in-law rolled his eyes. Said he's only looked at porn once since Christmas. He looks at it once every couple months. His wife is convinced it's an addiction. He told my husband it's frustrating because he feels shame for normal sexual desire. He also confided into my husband that him and his wife has not had sex in over a year and he's not sure what to do. He said he has suggested counseling, but his wife only wants to see someone from the church who is not a licensed therapist. My husband said, well, Jill said it was enough of an issue that she didn't want Kate to wear a 2-piece bathing suit or a sundress on the trip because it would be difficult for you. He said my brother-in-law was very surprised and upset and asked a bunch of questions about the incident. My husband said that my brother-in-law was mortified. My brother-in-law said, wait. Does Kate think I've been thinking about her in that way? My husband told him that was what Jill implied. Again, Jack was mortified. He profusely apologized to my husband and said that it was not the case at all. He said he wanted to apologize to me directly, but he didn't want to make me feel more uncomfortable and he was so sorry. My husband asked him if he had any pictures of me on his phone that he had taken without my consent. Immediately he said absolutely not and gave my husband his phone and told him to look through it. My husband also asked my brother-in-law Jack if he had made any comments about my body to his wife or others. Jack said that he had made a few comments that he thought were innocent, but he can understand how they could have been construed otherwise. He said that he had made comments when I was pregnant about me being glowing. He also said that recently he has been talking to his wife about how he thought it was adorable that I had made a point to work out and make time for myself after my baby was born. He said that he had mentioned I had looked good, and he knew how hard that is to make time to work out with a little one. Jack apologizes that he realized that these comments he thought were innocent might not have been the most appropriate in going forward. He will be careful about what he says to his wife and others. My husband told him that even though the air has been cleared, the trip is off. Jack said he completely understood, and he would tell his boys this morning. And that he would be talking to Jill. About an hour ago I got a text from Jill saying, my kids are devastated. I hope you're happy. I have ignored her. My husband is going to talk to his parents today. And wants to give it a few days before talking to his sister. That's all for now. Thank you again for all of your support. Update, my brother-in-law sent this text to my husband about an hour ago. Please share this with Kate, if you feel like she's in a good place. Kate, I am so terribly sorry. I know this is really uncomfortable, but I just wanted to let you know that I have never used any thoughts or images of you in a sexual way. I feel sick to my stomach, having to say that. I really truly apologize if I have made comments that made you feel uncomfortable. I'm sure there's more I could say, but I just wanted to let you know how truly apologetic I am for the whole situation. I understand if you do not want to see me and Jill for a while, and that's totally okay. Please don't feel bad about the trip. The boys are fine. This was a good apology, and I tend to believe him. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Is there a chance Jill is cheating on Jack? Just the no sex for a long time gives me that vibe. OP, I would be shocked if that was the case. She was 18 and he was 19 when they got married. He's the only man she's ever been with. Interestingly enough, they got married so young because they were having sex and her parents found out and pressured them to get married. Commenter 2, it's unfortunate that really the whole problem is that Jill is insecure and appears a bit jealous of you. At least now you know Jack hasn't been a creeper toward you. And yet again Jill can't take any responsibility for her actions and is trying to blame you. You aren't the cause of her kids being devastated. This situation and not being able to go on this vacation is completely on her shoulders. I hope that you, your husband, and the family still go and get away for a bit though. Would be nice to relax after all the BS. OP, my husband still has PTO next week. He is going to see if we can change the plane tickets and go somewhere just him, me and our daughter. Comment 3, if Jack is telling the truth, I suspect he is, particularly since he so willingly handed over his phone and expressed both a desire to apologize and awareness you might not be comfortable around him, then damn that poor guy. His wife is making him out to be a sexual predator. I hope he can get a divorce. OP, also, my husband believes him, and I trust his judgment. My husband said if he's lying, he's got to be a sociopath or something, because he seemed very sincere and forthcoming. Comment 4, holy crap. Sounds like your sister-in-law is having some serious issues. She doesn't want to have sex with her husband but also doesn't want him to take care of himself. Sounds like she is just reflecting all of her insecurities onto you and blaming it on the brother-in-law. Hopefully, this opens his eyes, and he takes action. If she is saying this type of crap to you, who else has she been lying to about him? OP, I suspect she has also been spreading the narrative to her parents because my mother-in-law originally also asked me to not bring the dress and to pack more modest clothes. Story 2, am I the asshole for breaking up my engagement because my fiancé isn't traditional enough? Original post, March 3, 2024. A little background, I 26 female, come from a relatively traditional Asian family, so, sorry in advance for the bad English. My father owns a rice wine brewery, and my mother helps him with it. Even though I said my family is pretty conservative, from what I've seen growing up, my father never told my mother to do all the chores and he helps her with it. My father always says that he couldn't provide for the family alone and she has to work, that's why he never expects her to do everything in the house. Just like how they share the responsibilities to earn for our family, they also share responsibilities taking care of the household. Now, my fiancé 29 male. We met on social media, he's an American who's currently working in my country. We've been dating for 3 years and been engaged for 5 months. He always tells me he's looking for a traditional woman and wants to date with marriage in mind. He said that women who are able to take care of a household and child rearing are admirable, and I always agree with him without much thought because that's indeed an incredible feat. Right? He's working in a small university and I'm currently working in a hospital. We saved enough to buy a house with a little bit of help from my parents, but we haven't moved in together though because you know Asian parents. But anyway, on my father's birthday last week, we talked about marriage once again. He doesn't think his income alone would be enough after our marriage and it's giving him insecurities. So I suggested that I keep working after marriage and that's not a problem because we'd be partners. My father also offered that we take over his brewery, and while I found the idea lovely, my fiancé on the other hand seems hesitant about it, but he agreed that I should keep my job. That was where the first problem started. I told him that since I have to work then I expect he'll help with the household chores later. After I said that, he suddenly got irritated. He said that he had been telling me he was looking for a traditional woman and that now he had been catfished since I don't want to take care of house chores because I'd still work anyway. Whenever he said he's looking for a traditional spouse, I always thought that he'd also be a traditional spouse by being the sole provider so I can focus on taking care of the house and children, if we ever have any. But when I told him that, he said I'm a gold digger and materialistic like every other woman, even when I never once asked him to be the sole provider. He brought that up first. Mind you, I didn't even let him pay for everything whenever we go out on a date. He paid for dinner, I paid for coffee and a movie. Even my father willingly offered his brewery if we want to take care of it as a means to provide for ourselves. So, where's the gold I should have been digging here? That was when I actually put the ring down and told him that I wanted to break up. I told him he's not traditional enough if he wants a fully traditional wife. I didn't want to deal with someone who could easily call me a gold digger because I want to share the chores, that hasn't even happened yet, in front of my parents. I can't help but think if he could easily say what he said in front of my parents when we haven't married yet, then he could be saying something worse if we're married and alone. I went home alone, and he texted me saying he was sorry, and he didn't mean what he said. He asked to meet but I don't feel like it. However, when I told my friends most of them told me I was a bit too emotional, hasty, and impulsive. That I might look like an asshole because I don't even want to meet him. His mother is now trying to talk me out of it and that I'm too old to act like this and it's the culture barrier that led us to this point. So, here I am, trying to look for a new perspective. Am I the asshole? Relevant comments. Comment 1. What do your parents think? OP, my parents don't really speak English. So, they only could understand a bit of what we said. My father initially felt bad. He thought we fought because he brought up the business, but after I told them the reason, excluding the gold digger and materialistic remarks, they are fully on my side and if I want to end it then I should, but they think I should meet him at least once to end our relationship properly. Comment 2. Be careful when you break up with him, bring someone along. OP, alright, thanks for your advice. My parents are coming, and my father said he's not going to let me meet him alone. Thank you once again. Update, March 12, 2024. 9 days later. Hello, I'm back once again. First of all, I want to thank everyone who kindly replied and messaged me the past week. I truly am grateful for all the encouragement I received from everyone. It really warms my heart during all of this mess. I want to admit that I, too, ignored a quite number of red flags he displayed in the past years, brushing it off as a difference in our culture and upbringing. I thought I was being open-minded and accommodating, not knowing that I should have opened a deeper conversation regarding what I wanted if I were to deepen our relationship. Many people kindly gave me praise in my previous post, but I feel rather undeserving to receive them because I also did so many stupid things that got me here. Okay, now, to the real update. Last night I had dinner with him alongside with my father after much thought and input I received from Redditors, friends, and family. Long story short, he still didn't want to end our relationship. He apologized, saying he misspoke and wanted to fix his mistake. He said it was because he was too comfortable with me since I'm not a confrontational person and I did help quite a lot with his chores, bringing side dishes, help clean up his place every now and then, so he thought I'll always be accommodating what he wants. I also apologize that I've never really brought this kind of topic seriously and not making sure we were on the same page whenever we did discuss this type of topic. He agreed that I should have told him before because that way it would never have got to this point and then kept bringing up my bad communication. I know it's my fault too, but it didn't feel good at all hearing that from him. Even if he had admitted his faults and never spoke badly to me before except for that one time, I still can't shake off my distrust of him. I don't know why, but what happened last week is like an instant feeling repellent. So, I returned the ring he gave me and told him I'll return more than half of the amount we used to buy our house. He initially refused the money, saying he wanted to keep trying to win back my trust and for me to keep in contact with him, but this morning he said I can transfer his money because marriage is not really happening now and tried to prevent me to sell the house nor tell our mutual friends that marriage is off the table. So, I just updated almost all of my group chats that now I'm single and here to tell everyone I'm single because my now ex-fiancé got a red flag so big, China would be crying with envy. I feel like an asshole to be honest because it seems like my feeling for him was that shallow all along, but maybe reality hasn't hit me yet, but that's that. Relevant comments. Comment 1. You absolutely did the right thing. What does your dad think? OP, my dad is a typical Japanese father, so we don't talk a lot since I've grown up, but he's supporting my decision to cancel the engagement. He doesn't say much but he looks quite happy since he wasn't into it for quite a long while back. Thank you for the kind words. I hope you and everyone around you will always be kind to you like you do to me now. It certainly makes me feel better. Comment 2. You need to go to intense therapy, so it doesn't happen again. You apologize to a man for not being his maid. OP, thank you for the response. I didn't apologize for not wanting to be someone's maid but for not being open and talking about what I want and expect in our relationship. I read in my previous post many pointed out that conversation with this topic should have happened long before and I agree with that. That's why I apologize. However, I will also keep working on myself, so thank you for your suggestion. I will keep it in mind. Comment 3. The house, did you go 50-50? Why does he get more? OP, we went 45-45 and my father added the 10%. My father was the one who offered to give him 50% of the shares as an extra layer of protection. Now, he cannot complain and has no reason to contact me or my family. To catch a sea bream with shrimp, he said. Thank you for the reassurance and I'll work hard to be better. Thank you for your response also. I really appreciate it. Comment 4. If the two of you are joint owners and want to cash out of it, he is entitled to a share in the house's current value, not a share of what he initially paid. OP, the house is under my name as it's difficult for foreigners to own property in good condition here. Thank you for your concern. OP's boyfriend definitely is on some passport bro subreddits. If you don't want to do chores then you have to be the sole income earner, a lot of don't seem to get that part. Anyway, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.